Oda, why do you tease me? And the animators, why do you tease me? I wanted to see Sabo's face. I wanted to see that face so bad. We saw a glimpse of a scar on his face. We saw him smiling. They had all these different camera angle shots of showing the back of his head, showing the side of his face, showing everything. But they would not show us his nose and up. And I'm like, stop teasing me. Stop fucking teasing me. Stop it. Stop it and show me his face. But no! They're like, no! That's another episode. I was like, damn it. So, the episode. Wow. That ending. Sabo is official. He is back. And you gotta love the quality and animation at the ending part of this episode, especially when Luffy's like, ah! When you see his, like, tone come out and all that, and the freaking, like, contrast of the art on it, it looked really fucking badass, and I like the way the animators took the time to really color that up. I mean, Oda had the exact same similar art in the manga, but seeing how they worked that and colored it and all that, it just looked really fucking badass the way they used that entire still frame. Now, the episode, for the most part, it's separated into two parts. You have Bellamy getting his ass kicked by one of Doffy's subordinates, and then the other half of the episode, you have Barto fangasming on Luffy, and then you come to the realization that Sabo is back at the end of the episode. So, pretty much that's the main concept of these two parts of this episode, and you can add in the entire speech right at the beginning of the episode, where you see the toys initiating their plan, and you see, you know, the little people, as Frankie calls them, initiating their plan. They've dug an entire tunnel into this black market like area underneath the factory, where the factory is, and underneath the palace. So they're going to be using that tunnel to get there, and we find out information about Sugar. Now Sugar, I like her character design in this episode. I really like the way the animation on her looked. I like, you know, the blue hair. It just looks really badass. For some reason, I always pictured Sugar with, like, silver hair for some reason. But seeing her with, you know, bluish type hair, it looked really nice. And I like the way she looked in this episode. So they did a good job there. To find out that she is, you know, a Devil Fruit user, we found out who the Devil Fruit user is that is currently turning people into toys, is a nice, good little reveal in this episode. And definitely had positive progression with the overall plot and different setups for future episodes. So personally, this episode was hella fucking good, but you actually had a lot of things going down. You had, you know, the speech part, finding out about Sugar, and then you had the entire bit with Sabo and where he's been a little bit at, and when you find out he's back, he's going to be playing as Lucy in the Coliseum. We have, you know, Luffy traveling over to the palace, and Bellamy. We get the entire, you know, information and fight with Bellamy. So I mean, there was a lot of stuff going down in this episode that I truly enjoyed, and honestly, I really liked this episode. It did not feel slow whatsoever to me, and I felt like they had great animation for the majority of this episode. Not the best, but it was still pretty good. Now, one thing I want to mention is Barto. Barto, my boy, man. Barto. You gotta love Luffy Senpai or Zoro Senpai. I'm like, oh, every time I see that, I can't help but smiling and laughing. I mean, I remember reading this in the manga. I remember reading it, and I was laughing my ass off. But seeing his voice actor betray this, and seeing him bounce around like, woo, and all this, and you see him fangasming, you see him drooling on himself, you see the smiles and the way his accent changes, it was just so phenomenal, honestly. It's just, I love his character. I love Barto so fucking much. He's probably one of my favorite characters from this arc of One Piece. Just the way he acts is amazing. Now, I want to talk about Bellamy real quick. Bellamy had a little bit of development this episode if you look at the big picture. The development on Bellamy we see, or a little bit of conflict actually working up here, is that Bellamy finds out that Doflamingo, under orders, wants him dead, even though Doffy promised him that he would make him a subordinate. But he turns around and stabs Bellamy in the back and is trying to kill him. So, right now, Bellamy's in a hard spot. Like, this person he admires, he looks up to. Like, you know, imagine if you looked up to this higher person, okay? Like a teacher, sensei, whatever you want to call them, a business employer, and you looked up to them. And you're like, he's my idol, he's my hero. And all of a sudden, they decide to come around and, like, try to kill you. How would you feel? That's pretty much what happened to Bellamy. And to see the conflict he's currently going through, it's definitely going to develop his character either in a negative or positive direction, depending on what happens with Doffy in him. Now, the thing is Doffy playing games with Bellamy? Like, we gotta understand, like, why is Dolphy just messing around with Bellamy? I mean, why did he keep him even alive after the Sky Island arc if he was just going around and try to fuck him in this arc? I mean, why did he keep him alive? That's the big questions we gotta wonder. And I mean, why does Bellamy still kind of respect Dolphy? Why? Why does he hold this, you know, like, everlasting, you know, respect towards him? That's another thing we gotta question. I mean, I know he's his idol and all that, and he wants to work underneath him. Just, you gotta wonder why Bellamy really thinks that. Overall, a very damn good episode. 8.5 or 9 out of 10, one or the other. I enjoyed it. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.